Hello there, Leon Man and Mountain back again with another big backpack wild camp adventure. I am joined again with my good friend Richie, and we're back on Fair-Snape. Now, as you know, as you've seen from the video, it's a tent review. So I'm doing another tent review. Bought another tent. Missus ain't too happy. Who cares? It's my life. Anyway, so what have I bought? Well, I bought a Decathlon Forclaz tent, the MT500, and it's a two-person backpacking tent, and it's £120. Now, that sounds expensive, and it is expensive, but tents are expensive now, and it's a bit annoying that tents have to be the price they are these days, but it looks like an half-decent tent, so we're going to test that today. And the other thing as well with it is I've not seen anyone really do a review for one of these for this sort of thing, wild camping, you know, on top of a mountain. Now, it was forecasted for a bit different weather. The wind is exactly what was forecast. It's just I'm not really seeing any rain clouds. Yeah, it was supposed to rain. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm perfectly happy with it not raining, but it's not really that authentic review, is it, without a bit of rain? But the wind should put up a bit of the difference there. But yeah, it's looking rather nice today, and it's warm. It is warm. That wind is actually it's really nice because it's keeping me cool climbing up this this hill. But yeah, back where I do on my gear review. So anyway, enough of me waffling. Let's get up to the top of Fair-Snape and yeah, get on with this gear review. Trig. Right, so we have got to camp, and now all we've got to do is get this tent up. So I've put it up in my back garden. I always do a wild camp check to make sure the tent's not missing anything or it's not damaged in any way. It's a very good idea to do, because I have seen it where people have done that and they're missing either pegs or a pole, or it's, you know, or the tent's ripped itself. So be very careful and check before you spend a couple of hours walking out somewhere to camp, because yeah, it can be a bit of a nightmare. So let's get this tent up and see how easy it is.
So we're on the top of Fair-Snape. Leo's doing his little tent review now, setting up his tripod over there. Look at him, loves it. I'm going to do something more important, and I'm going to open a beer before I even bother setting my tent up, because that's the most important thing about wild camping.
So the pack size of this is pretty good, to be honest. It's pretty impressive for a tent that's, you know, I don't know if it's supposed to be really good or whatever. It's fairly lightweight, and it's packs down very well. So yeah, the pack size is pretty good. It weighs just under 3 kilos, which a lot of people say that's probably quite a bit too heavy, but I don't have a problem with it myself. I'm not one of these people who tries to, you know, go on a wild camp with 5 kilos of gear. That's just not for me. You know, I'd rather have 5 kilos of beer. So yeah, anyway, I'll get it up. Right, so as you've seen, these poles, well, this one doesn't, but the other two do. The long poles, they go through a sleeve in the tent. Just be careful that you definitely get the feet in at the other side, because it doesn't go into anything you clip into, it just goes into the very end of the tent. And then on the ends here, I'll quickly show you. it clips into this little black grommet there, and then the third and final pole just literally clips onto the top of the tent and holds the doors out. And it is fairly solid freestanding as it is, but obviously we'll get it down because we do have a bit of a wind. But yeah, it's pretty good. Now, another thing with this, these little tent pegs here, they just look like standard normal crappy tent pegs, but they're actually aluminium. And they're actually really good. Yeah, not bad them tent pegs. We are getting bothered by a glider though. This guy won't leave us alone. Yeah, go away glider. Keeps scaring me. Flying over too low. But yeah, I'll just finish pegging this out and then we'll have a look inside. Right, so we're all set up, and you know what, that wasn't as bad as it was in my garden. Probably because it helps that I'm pegged out, if you will. Can't do that on my fake grass or the missus would kill me. Yeah, definitely can't be pegging out. Right, so guy ropes. So you got a rope attached to the tent here, and then you have a separate rope that obviously you peg out, and it goes through a little hook and eyelet here. I don't know how I feel about that. I don't know whether I feel like that's just something that in certain weather conditions is going to wiggle its way out, but we'll see tonight. Not sure that's the best idea for that, but we'll find out, like I say. But everything else really nicely laid out, this. So yeah, as I say, it's not a bad looking tent either. It's you know, I've got all the colours now. Well, not I've got all the colours, but I don't have one tent the same colour as the other, so that's yeah, don't know why I do that, but yeah, this one's grey and orange. Cool. Yeah, what other colours can we get? Let's see. So let's get in the tent. Right, well, space. This is not a two-man tent. Well, yeah, I mean, it could be a two-man tent. As I've said on previous videos, one man and his dwarven girlfriend, maybe. Sorry if that's not PC. I don't know what words I can use these days. It seems to be a struggle. So, could you get two people in here? At a push, you probably could. It's not ideal. It's very, very claustrophobic. You'd have to have a very close relationship with whoever you're sleeping next to. So it's not bad though. You don't get a ground sheet with this. I don't know if you can buy a footprint, but to be honest, it doesn't really bother me that much. As long as this material's, you know, strong enough to sort of stop anything puncturing anything underneath, then I'm not really bothered. And you know, just be careful where you camp. Just make sure there's no sort of thorns or anything like that you're going to put your stuff on top of. But inside, plenty of room. I actually quite like it. I mean, it's got a lantern clip here that you can clip a lantern onto. That's pretty good. I always like that. A couple of storage nets up here on the roof, and a washing line. I like that. That's pretty cool. Don't know why I want a washing line in every tent now, but this has got it, so every other tent should have it. But yeah, it's a nice tent inside. Really, it's not really that bad. I mean, there's not a lot of mesh, which could be a condensation issue. There's mesh here, mesh on the doors, and mesh on the other side here. It sits fairly low to the ground, this tent, as well, so wind doesn't really get under. And I must admit, you can hear the wind out there, but this tent is fairly solid, so pretty impressive. So we've got a very basic tie wrap here for the doors. It's literally just a piece of fabric, and you put the little thing through. Don't know what they're called, just a thing for me. Right, so I mean, we're all set up anyway. I think it's time now to have a bit of a wild camp. Get me stuff out, and yeah, let's blow this bed up. So as you can see, there is just enough room for a NeoAir Xtherm, long and wide. This is the biggest pad you can get. So yeah, as you can see, this is definitely not going to fit in 2 of these. But I mean, don't get me wrong, this is a big pad, but yeah, it's not going to be a full 2-man. It's a man and a woman. That's going to be, yeah. Right, so we're all set up inside. I just need to put a sleeping bag down, but that's all about it, really. But we're up. It's fairly solid, so I'm pretty impressed, really. The wind has calmed down a little bit, so that's good. Because that Cloud Peak 2, that flaps like hell in the night when it's windy, but you know, it is what it is. So I think it's time for a beer. So I've got this thing here. Don't know what it is. We'll see. It's beer in it. But yeah, so have a beer and then get a bit of a, well, I'll get the jet boil on because we've got some dehydrated meals today. Richie's on chicken fried rice and I'm on, I think it's spicy pasta arrabbiata, so that should be nice. So I've got a new bit of gear, guys. I've got a table, a little plastic table. It was 18 quid that. The missus had a go at me. But it's supposed to be good. Other people have bought them. It's the ultralight folding table, Cascade Wild. Made in Oregon, USA. We'll see. Well, it folds out quite nicely. So we'll see what it's like with a jet boil on it. Well, it works. It's fairly flat. So today, the meal choices are chicken fried rice, and spicy pasta arrabbiata. Now I'm an idiot because this is vegan approved, so there's no meat in it. So I'm being, what's the word? I'm reducing my carbon footprint, maybe, while boiling casts. The reason we're in this tent is because there's not really room for 2 people in that tent. This is not really the room.
And it's got a window.
Yeah. This is. Yeah. Just ignore this part of the video. This is just food. That gas was explosive, wasn't it? That was like my backside after an Indian. That. I'm telling you. Right.
There's your spicy
arrabbiata. Right, so what you do is you obviously peel the zip line, take this off here like that. Yeah. Yep. And what you do is you start fishing inside, for the oxygen absorber, because that's
just like an MRE.
Oh, there we go. There we go. So.
Oh, yours is easy.
Yeah, you'll have to go fishing.
I can't find my oxygen.
It's alright, they don't actually go dead. They don't explode or all like that. I've done it many a times. Yeah. It won't kill you.
I know. It'd be nice to find him.
Yeah. as many times I've been like, what? They mustn't have put one in this, and then I'm halfway through eating, they're like, they put one in this.
I can't see it anywhere.
Line A. Oh, so you're going full char.
That's what it says.
Right. Oh shit, that's hot. Shouldn't really be holding it from this angle. Ah! It boiled the water. It boiled the water, definitely boiled the water. Yeah, I think I'm going to need to put a bit more water in that. And right, so what I normally do...
Bit line A, yeah. I get to steering.
Yeah, I normally stir it.
I'd be able to find me.
You probably will. I normally stir it.
Oh,
found it.
Yahtzee.
Yeah. I normally stir it, and then for like half a minute or whatever, and then I.
Oh, you're wasting all that chicken.
And then I zip it up and I let it stand for however long. Right, let's put some more water in this. What, yeah. Spicy pasta arrabbiata.
This is my first time ever eating a freeze dried.
Is it?
Apart from noodles, too. I don't think that really counts.
True. Oh. So good. From what was a load of red powder, is now spicy pasta arrabbiata.
Oh, well, nice.
This isn't just any freeze-dried dehydrated meal. This is a something to eat. Freeze-dried dehydrated meal that's got hot water in it. Right, well, it doesn't look like we're going to get a sunset, but it's still pretty nice up here. The wind has died down a little bit, not much, but this tent, it is really not moving in this wind, so really impressed with that. And we'll see how it goes overnight. We've just obviously had our meals, done a bit of tidying up. I think I'm going to get another beer on the go, and then Richie's got any sleeping bag, so I think I'm going to do the same thing. Because that wind is a little bit cold, so yeah, let's get in the tent. Right, so I'm in the Forclaz, the new, should I say, Decathlon tent that I've bought. Yeah, not too bad. It's actually pretty nice in here. The door's closed. And the vestibule area is fairly reasonable, I'll be honest with you. I've got my 65 litre pack in that vestibule there, just seeing how it copes in there. Absolutely fine. Got my boots in this side, I'll show you. So yeah, very reasonable size. Of course, I keep saying this is definitely not a two-man tent. I mean, you could really squeeze two people in here, but it ain't going to be comfortable. Not like that Cloud Peak 2 that we were sat in having lunch, tea, dinner, wherever you're from. It's called one of those. But yeah, I mean, it's fairly reasonable. It's an half decent tent. I don't know what the purpose of a washing line is, but I mean, I suppose you could dry your socks out if you've had a wet camp and let it all drip on you. You could hang all sorts of things on there, I suppose. It is very roomy head height wise. I mean, obviously I've got all this room here, and it's you can sit up very comfortably in it, and you've got absolutely no problem whatsoever. I'd say it packs down really well. I can't really say anything bad about pack size, because it you know, it all goes in that one bag and it goes in there fairly easily. The Helm Compact 2 that I have, when I've rolled that up and I try and put it back in the bag that it came in and everything back in there, it's a lot more difficult. Whereas this is the bag for this is tight, but it is, you can easily put it back in the bag if you're out hiking or whatever, or out in the wild camp. So yeah, I would say that is a pro for it, pack size. Of course, there's no footprint with it, no no ground sheet to keep anything under the tent out of the way. But I'll be honest with you, it's fairly thick material anyway. It's not too bad. It is taped and seamed, so you don't have to worry about that. I don't know how good the zips are going to be for the outside door. It's not taped and seamed on the zips, but it is covered with a flap, so you have to make sure your flap's down, otherwise you are going to get water coming through the zips on the outside. But I don't know, you can probably quite easily reach out and put the Velcro over it. Yeah, it's not a bad tent. It's not a bad tent. Will it be my go-to tent? Probably not. I really like that Helm Compact 2. It's quite a good tent. I mean, I'd probably go on another wild camp in it. I mean, right now it's pretty windy out there. That Cloud Peak 2's flapping away with the hood flap, and this isn't too noisy at all. So that's pretty good. And yeah, it sets up nicely. When I was putting it up, you have to make sure those poles are definitely in the end of the very end of the sleeve. Otherwise, if you push too hard, you could end up snapping a pole or damaging something. So yeah, you definitely got to make sure you've got the pole all the way in before you try and clip it in. Otherwise, you probably break something, which would be no good if you are on the top of a mountain. Ventilation wise, there isn't a right lot of ventilation on it, I'll be honest with you. But if it's, we'll see how it is in the morning for condensation. Actually, you know, if it's full of condensation, then well, you know, probably the ventilation's not sufficient. Which in Britain, obviously, you're going to get a lot of condensation. Whether that is from me breathing, or whether that's from just the atmosphere itself. Yeah, it could be a bit of a con, that, yeah, that could be a con, but we'll see in the morning, of course. Right now, I mean, the one thing I have to say about the Helm Compact 2, which pains me to say this, but it really annoys me, is when you're lying down, this sags and it droops on your head. So this being more straight up is actually quite good. I'm not going to have any sort of fabric, you know, sort of rubbing on my face in the night. So yeah, that's pretty good. But yeah, what can you say? It's a tent. It's a. I'm going to say budget tent, because unfortunately nowadays, 120 quid is budget. You know, you're not going to get a Supreme tent for 110 quid nowadays. You know, this is an OEX sort of competitor. So you know, you're looking at that sort of level. You're not looking at Euro hike. Let's forget very bottom budget tents. This is supposed to be competing with the likes of OEX, and you know, to be honest with you, it's going to be competing with things like the Cloud Peak 2 and the Helm Compact 2, because it's in that sort of region. Yeah, there's probably £100 difference between the Helm Compact 2 and this, but is there a £100 difference in the tent? Who knows? There might not be. There might not be. So yeah, it's not a bad tent. And so far, the experience of putting it up, pegging it out, the pegs as well. I saw a picture of the pegs when I was going to go and buy it, and I thought, oh god, here we go, another more steel, mild steel tent pegs. And you know what, pleasantly surprised. They're aluminium tent pegs, really lightweight. So yeah, that's not bad. The poles are aluminium as well. There's 3 of them. 2 of them are 8.5mm, which are the ones that go all the way across the tent and sleeve in. And then the top one, the very top one, that's the shorter pole, is 9.5mm. But yeah, I can't really say it's a bad tent. It's pretty good so far. So, but we'll see overnight how it goes. I think I'm gonna have another beer, another German beer, and then yeah, just crack on a podcast and see how the night goes. I've got to use my table. Well, good morning, and all in all, a pretty successful night in this tent. The wind hadn't stopped all night, and it's still windy, but this tent, incredibly, the wind direction's changed 90 degrees. I don't know why it always does this at the top of Fair Snape, but it was coming from that direction, now it's coming from that direction, going that way. And you know what, it's still fine. One little thing I would probably say is, if Decathlon did revise this tent, I would probably try and stick some guy ropes on the sides. Don't know how they do that structurally, but that is folding in a little bit, but not really bad at all, I'll be honest with you. But I've slept fine last night, woke up once at 2:30, started raining, and then just really I went back to sleep. It was no problem. Really quite a good tent this in the wind. I'm really surprised actually. Like I said, it rained and I've had no dramas with that. There's no condensation inside the tent either. I did say something about I can't see any vents. It was dark and I didn't really look properly, but there are 2 vents on this. There are the pop-up vents at the top of the tent, so yeah, that would be one way. I mean, it didn't really need, I don't think it needed the vents to be open last night anyway, just simply because of how windy it is up here. But look, this is ridiculously solid for a budget tent in the wind. But yeah, really impressed with it. Really impressed with it. So anyway, I've made myself a brew, a nice coffee bag, and yeah, I'm going to drink this and then I'm going to get packed up, and so yeah, we'll see how easy it is to pack back up in the wind. Yeah. Right, well, the rain has well and truly come back, but I'm just going to show you these little pop-up vents that I was talking about. They're just these things here, and then you got a little thing there, keeps it open. But yeah, nothing fancy, just simple, and it works. So anyway, I'm going to pack this tent up and I'll give you my final thoughts. Right, we are all packed up and ready to leave. It is a tad bit wet, so you'll have to forgive any sort of rain splodges on the camera, but we're going to head back down now. Final thoughts. It was a bit of a pain in the arse to put away in this weather, but then again, any tent's really going to be a bit of a pain in the arse. It's absolutely torrential right now, and it's windy, so it's not the most ideal condition. So obviously when I get home, I'll have to open up the tent, get it dried out. But yeah, the poles are a bit of a pain in the arse to get out, but you know, it's just part of that design, I suppose. But the tent itself was very solid all night, so I've got to say I was impressed with that. So final thoughts on the tent. Is it worth 120 quid? Yeah, I'd probably say it is actually. I did actually quite like it. It's a good one-person tent. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's a one-person tent if you're my size. But if you're average size, then you'll probably get away with a tight squeeze with 2 in there. But not fat bastards like me. So yeah, I would say it's a 1.5 man. what I like to do in a two-man tent is have my gear next to me inside the tent instead of outside the tent. So yeah, I mean, it is a cracking little tent. I've got to be honest with you, I liked it. It did everything it needed to do. It put up with the weather. So yeah, I would definitely recommend the Decathlon MT500 for backpacking or wild camping. It was very solid. Not much to complain about. The zips are a bit snaggy. You know, just the usual budgetary problems really. But yeah, it was a pretty good tent. I've enjoyed camping in it really. It made a lot less noise than the Cloud Peak 2 did. So you know, that's one thing. I mean, the reason I probably did end up getting another tent is because that Cloud Peak 2, when it was windy, that hood would just flap all night. Dead silent in the Decathlon tent, so that was good. So anyway, thank you guys for watching. Of course, we've left no trace. Well, definitely left no trace, so that's all right. Yeah, so we've got to get back down to the car. So I'll see you guys next week, wherever the hell I am.